Welcome back to Airsoft GI TV. My name's Tim, and what you see in front of me are a whole bunch of upgrade parts. You're looking at about $300 worth of upgrade parts, and they are here to help me answer the question, how can I get my gun to shoot 600, 700, 800, 900, even 1,000 FPS? Our technicians get this question on a regular basis, and this is our answer. We do not upgrade your gun that high. There are some techs out there that can push 600 plus, 700 plus, some very custom made stuff that can shoot that high, but within the realm of feasible airsoft parts, we upgrade your gun to about 500 FPS. That's the maximum that we recommend. It's a good balance between velocity and reliability without going into custom made parts, of course. So what I have here are a bunch of upgrade parts. I've separated everything. Everything over here on my left is what I'm going to call the drivetrain components of your gun, and everything on the right is what I'm going to call the air seal components of your gun. Both of these need to be in tip-top shape with the highest quality parts if you're going to push a very high velocity like 500 FPS. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to start off with is the spring. Okay, this is a Sistema M150 spring. Okay, this will put you at about 500 FPS, which is our target FPS right here. They do make springs that are harder than this if you want to shoot harder, but that's not what we're doing here. We're going to go for 500, so that's what we need the M150 spring. Once I have a very heavy spring in there, I'm going to need a strong set of gears to pull them back. Okay, so I've grabbed two sets of gears actually to show you your different options. Okay, in my right hand here, I have Prometheus triple torque gears. These gears have helical teeth, okay, so they're cut at an angle instead of cut straight. Helical gears are a lot more efficient at pulling back heavy springs, and so that's why I grabbed these. Now, Sistema also has something called the super torque up gears. These are also made for very high FPS, but they're not helical, okay? But they're still very highly recommended for the desired FPS 500 and above. Okay, once I got my spring in there, it's going to shoot real hard. I have strong gears to make sure they're not going to break. It's not going to do me any good if my motor can't pull it back. Okay, this is a GNP M160 motor. This is a very high torque motor. Another motor that will do the job very well is the Sistema Magnum motor. That's probably the best in the business. You need a really strong motor to pull back a heavy spring like that, and this is exactly what you're going to get, a very high torque motor. Not a high speed motor. High speed motors are different from high torque motors. Okay, I got my spring in there. I have strong gears that aren't going to break. I have a motor that's going to pull it back. The next thing that's likely to break if you don't upgrade it is the piston. Okay, this is a System Supercore piston, not Sistema, System. Okay, and the reason why I grabbed this piston is because it has a polymer body, but it also has a lot of metal teeth. Okay, the metal teeth are going to prevent the piston from stripping, okay, from the high FPS. And the polymer body keeps the piston at a relatively low weight, so every time it slams forward, you reduce the risk of breaking the front of your gearbox off. So polymer pistons with metal teeth are a very good combination. That's why I grabbed the Supercore. Okay, once I have all those main components in there, there's a couple of other things that complement them very well. The number one thing being solid metal bushings. Okay, these are solid metal bushings from Modify. If you have a gun that had plastic bushings, you should have already upgraded to metal bushings because plastic bushings are garbage. Okay, and if you have a gun with ball bearings, if you want to upgrade it to a very high FPS, you should change them to solid metal bushings. Ball bearings are not a good idea for high FPS guns because they have the potential to fail. Okay, especially a ball bearing as small as 6 or 7 or 8 millimeters. Solid metal bushings are fail-proof. That's why you need to upgrade to solid metal bushings. The next thing that you should upgrade, if it's not upgraded to metal already, is a metal spring guide. Plastic spring guides under an M150 spring can break very easily. And this is an Area 1000 metal spring guide with a plastic or polymer or Delrin, I don't really know what this is made out of, O-ring instead of having a ball bearing spring guide. Now the reason why you don't want a ball bearing spring guide for high FPS is because the bearings are multi-piece. If you look at them, it's a washer, the ball bearings, and another washer. The fact that they're multi-piece is really bad for high FPS. Okay, under normal conditions, a ball bearing spring guide is optimal, but when you're pushing out a high velocity, you want a solid metal spring guide without ball bearings, and that's why I grabbed the Area 1000. Pardon me, I didn't grab any of these parts. Our technicians grabbed these off the wall. I just need to clarify that. Okay, the next thing that you're going to need to upgrade are your shims. Okay, I have a pack of GMP shims, Sistema shims, and you also should probably get a set of garter shims. That way you have a very wide range of shim widths so that you can shim your gears perfectly. When you're pushing an extreme FPS, if your gears aren't shimmed properly, your gun's not going to work for very long. Okay, it's very important that the teeth on the gears match up, and it's very important that the gears are not wobbling around while they're turning. So that's why you need good shims, but you also need somebody who knows how to shim well. Okay, so if you don't know how to shim well, if you don't shim very much, if you're going to push 500, I recommend you give it to somebody who has, like our Airsoft GI Techs. That's pretty much all the drivetrain components you need to upgrade, to reinforce, to handle that FPS without stripping. Now we need to move along to the air seal components, because it doesn't do any good for your drivetrain to be strong, your piston is going to be pushing air, but the air is not going behind the BB. All the air needs to be focused behind the BB, otherwise it's not going to go anywhere. So the first thing you need in order to do that is a ported piston head. Okay, this is a ported aluminum piston head from Modify. The ports are on the front of the piston head, and what that does is that when the piston is moving forward, the air that's compressed in front of it will go through the ports and push the O-ring outward on the piston head to make sure that no air leaks out behind the piston head. Okay, so it keeps all the air that's in front of the piston head in front of it to push it out of the cylinder head. Now on the other side of the cylinder is the cylinder head. Okay, this is the other 1-2 punch, I guess you could say, with the ported piston head. This is a completely steel metal cylinder head from Modify, and it also has 2 O-rings to seal against the cylinder head. Most stock cylinder heads, regardless of model, will have a plastic cylinder head with a metal nozzle. That tends to break right where the metal and the plastic meet. On top of that, most stock cylinder heads only have 1 O-ring. This one from Modify has 2 O-rings, so it seals very nicely to make sure no air leaks around the cylinder head. Like I said before, you want all the air to be pushed behind the BB. So all these air seal components are helping reduce air leakage, basically. Another thing that could help reduce air leak if you have one, but more importantly, just to keep the BB flying straight, is the hopper bucking. Okay, this is a very hard hopper bucking by Madbull. This is the Madbull Red. Our technicians recommend a hard hopper bucking versus a soft hopper bucking for high FPS to keep the hopper bucking in good shape. Okay, as the BBs are going through the barrel and rubbing against the hopper bucking, it could rub and eventually wear out the hopper bucking. A harder hopper bucking will reduce the risk of it wearing out, and it will actually reduce the wear and tear. Okay, so you should still replace your hopper buckings every once in a while. A harder hopper bucking is much better for higher FPS because of the extra strain that the BB is putting on the bucking. So this is pretty much everything you need to shoot 500 FPS if you were to do this yourself. Okay, we will put all these upgrades into your gun for you should you choose to do that. We don't recommend it, not only because it's still not going to be very reliable. Okay, like I said, this is the good balance between performance and reliability, but you still run the risk of breaking something even with the highest quality parts in there. Number 2, 500 FPS is going to keep you off of a lot of playing fields. Okay, most fields will not let you shoot that high with an AEG. You know, you're probably going to have to restrict your gun to semi or some special rules like that, or you're going to only have to play a private game. So we don't recommend 500 FPS. We will do it if you want us to, and this is basically everything you need to do it. I don't like that ending. Whatever, I already filmed this one. So I'm going to start off with the motor, okay? Most stock guns... No, I can't start off with the motor. Oh, damn it, I need to clarify something.